Hey everyone. While I'm still working on a level 99 all modifiers rank 1 strat without Chow and Sky, which may or may not happen, I don't know, it's especially the no Chow requirement. Not using Sky is not an issue, I can always just substitute for Carton, but the no Chow thing is pretty hard. But we'll see. I haven't made my final judgment yet whether it's still possible or not, but this is not the topic of the video. Today we are talking about something that I've been asked quite a few times, and that is what to spend the obnoxious drops on. Because the list is really pretty good this time around. We got all the fan design units, or I believe most of them at least. Maybe it's even all of them, I'm not quite sure. It should be 6. 3, 5, 6, it is 6. So we got all of them, which is rather cool. And if you are not buying that Fortuna Pass, like I did, for example, as you can see, I have 2,500 left, but I also bought both Reclaimed Serenity. So yeah, as is evident, I bought that pass for that very specific reason. I just needed those 2k more that you get from us, just to A, have more wiggle room eventually, and B, just get one more unit or item that I would like, because I feel like this time around the whole section is pretty good. Not only am I very happy that they ditched the vision cards, which probably nobody of you bought ever, and instead put in these limited items, because both Reclaimed Serenity and Way of the Samurai, those were rewards you got last year from that New Year's weapon gacha banner, I would like to call it. It was the first week of January. Those items were included, and I'm very happy that they brought them back, because both of them are pretty good in their own regards. But I will not assume that you're spending, so from the next 2 Clash of Wills, including this one, you will gain 10,500 drops. Now, 10,500, that leaves you with 3 units if you wanted so, and one of these items. Or you could buy 2 of these items, 2 units, and whatever is left, you can run the remaining things. So this all comes down to what you guys have for units, right? If you have EX plus 3 Behemoth, Cafeteria, Nopi, Yigni, Kresnik, Bulwark, those units don't do anything to you. But then again, you're probably not watching this video to get any information on what to buy, because you're probably buying the materials and whatever you want the most from these things. This video is more towards those people that have to make a decision which unit is the best to get from these. So right out of the gate, if you don't have Kresnik at all, get Kresnik. He is one of the most crucial units that is, well, he is being disregarded for most top rank 1 clears in the past. This time around, he's actually really important to pretty much all strategies so far, unless you're going for that quick turn 2 clear, then he's not. But for rank clears, you will probably, I'm not going to say always, but probably always going to see Kresnik on the team, because his morale fill is absolutely crazy. So if you are at 0 Kresnik, get Kresnik first thing. He should be your top 1 priority out of this list, and unless you did the same mistake I did and neither bought his VIP shards nor spent 2,200 lapis to get his shards up to 50, you should be able to EX plus 1 him right away. And EX plus 1 is totally fine, unless you are going for that 16 out of 16 modifier cap to get rank 1. Well, you better have that EX plus 2 Kresnik, or everyone else at EX plus 3 with EX plus 1 Kresnik. That's fine too. But if you're at 0 Kresnik, you should get him first thing. And if you have 0 out of 0 shards for Kresnik too, you should get him this month and in February as well, because he's that good, and he will always see play until the very day we get a unit that can push the morale gauge without any issues. And I call characterist issues because a counter unit such as Chow may not always see play. On the other hand, Kresnik, especially whenever you can imbue a boss with a light element and just ignore all the damage that he deals, Kresnik will always see play. The same reason why Carton's Dark Absorb is always coming in that handy. Whenever boss dark damage, well, you might as well just use Carton and ignore all that damage for that very one turn to help you survive. And Kresnik, with all he does, it's not just the imbue gimmick, it's also that he really spams that morale. It's so crazy. Arcane Stimulant is a 1000 morale gain, 1000 auto casted next turn. If you LB, you have a permanent 250 morale fall. It's just absurd for the amount of morale he can provide. So, like I mentioned, Kresnik should be your top 1 priority. Now, in terms of secondary priority, it's getting a little bit tougher. There is a point to be made that Bulwark is super good, and that Cafeteria is super good. Both are doing rather very different things, right? Cafeteria is your main breaker, best source of Fist in Peril. She has good breaks, 89% to be more specific to all 4 stats, but those are on a Grandis at only a one-time use, so that's rather but still a very valuable breaker to have. Then she also does Earth and Water, 135 Imperils, while also being able to imbue those elements. So she's a very versatile unit. And your chainer with anyone else, she has bolting strike frame, so that's rather nice. King Behemi, while he's a decent tank, he has fallen out of the meta super quickly ever since Kairos. It's like I told people, Kairos is a good way to showcase Behemi, but other than that, he's not relevant, and everyone just called me dumb and called me names and whatever, and here I am. I was right after all. Behemi never saw play again. It could just be, but here we are. Anyway, Maeve is the go-to girl for physical damage, Chow for magical damage, and that's fine, honestly. So it really boils down. Yigni and Nopi, none of them are really relevant. Yigni has some cool niche uses with Gemini Enchantment where he spreads killers and stats, etc. But his damage isn't that great, and so isn't Nopi. So both of them, I wouldn't call them any important on this list. They are the dud pulls or duds of this list. You don't have anything you value at all from these items. Might as well get Yigni and Nopi if you haven't gotten them to X+3, but I wouldn't buy them at all. So it really boils down to if you have to spend 6 out of your 10k drops on Kresnik, you can only get either Bulwark or Cacteria. Now, truth be told, if you have Lara Croft, you don't need Cacteria. If you also have units such as Lord of the Seas Nicole or Roka, Thunder Sakura, etc., so all those elemental amplifying units, you don't need Cacteria. While Cacteria does her own thing with X, right? Having Cacteria and, for example, Lord of the Seas Nicole on the team is kind of one too many, in most cases at least. So if I were you and I'd struggle with DPS and needing that little bit more oomph on the morale game, I feel like Bulwark is the go-to unit. We've had multiple cases where Bulwark was on the team not only for his super strong Wind Imbue and Wind Amp, but also for the variety of killers he provides. He also has a break on his own. While it's not that as good as is Cacteria's break, Bulwark still does a lot of good things. So as a secondary choice, I would say Bulwark, and if your Bulwark is already at X+3 but you don't have that many Cacteria, Cacteria should be your third best option in that case. So the pecking order, Kresnik, Bulwark, Cacteria, and whether you then choose to go for Behemi, Nopi or Yigni, totally up to you. Again, I would any of those. Behemi is power crept, wildly power crept at this point, and so are Yigni and Nopi, sadly. And yeah, now let's just imagine 10.5k drops. You spent 3k on Kresnik, you spent 3k on Bulwark, you spent 3k on Cafeteria. That still leaves you with 1.5k. So that means which one of those should you get? Because you absolutely should get at least one of them. And the obvious choice here is obviously Reclaimed Serenity. There is no competition because resistance materials, especially when it's 4 different resistance types or elemental resistances at 60%, always get those. Those are the best value you can get, and you will always make use of them. Even if it's only 2 out of the 4 elements used, you still want to use that element or that material because it's this good. And whenever you are feeling, say, damage over time effects, dots, such as the current boss, having that little bit more percentage defense and percentage spirit may come in handy to keep your team alive, especially when the resistances, when you cannot get high enough resistances to survive at all. So a little more of bulk is going to help tremendously. But yeah, definitely get Reclaimed Serenity. It is the best one. Now, if you do want to spend very, very lightly and get one of the Fortuna passes, I would even argue get 2 Reclaimed Serenity. And if you don't really care about Cacteria, for example, and just Kresnik and Bulwark, get Reclaimed Serenity twice, because truth be told, I bought it twice and you will probably see me use this on 2 different units every single clash, unless none of the 4 elements are being used, which is unlikely because it's almost half the elements in the game, and there's a good chance that these 4, it is actually half of the elements used in the game, so there's a good chance at least one of these elements gets used next time around too, or the next but one in March. So it's a great SMR or materia to have, and you should buy this, no questions asked. Now, how good is Way of the Samurai? It is not the worst, especially for katana users, because this is 80% total attack, 60% unconditional, 20% on top if you're wearing a katana. But then again, it actually boils down to just being 60% because outside of Sephiroth and very few others, we are not using katanas. So it is a 60% attack materia with some bulk regarding HP and MP, and 30% Esper stats. So the Esper stats, totally irrelevant, as you can see. 100% equals 1% reflected rate boost, so that isn't that much, right? And it's 0.3% for your units, basically. So that's not translating into any tangible effect. It's going to make small difference, that 1 million more damage on your sky, maybe. But at the end of the day, it's totally negligible. So if you don't buy the Fortuna Pass and don't feel like buying more than 1 Reclaimed Serenity, leave Way of the Samurai out. I personally will most likely not get this one, maybe just one if I end up not having anything to spend my drops on, but truth be told, I am 1 short of Kresnik EX plus 3, I am 1 short of Cacteria EX plus 3, so I'll get those are 6k already down the drain unless I pull more, and the rest of it is probably going into the usual. I will most likely get the 10+1 ticket here, I will get the summon tickets, and maybe if I do have enough for the Super Trust Moogle, but it's always hard to say. But the main kicker is get Reclaimed Serenity. It is one of the best, if not the best choices you can make here, next to Kresnik, that is. So if you want to be really efficient about this, get Kresnik once or twice and get 2 Reclaimed Serenities. I would even argue that Kresnik and Reclaimed Serenity should be your top 1 priority. And disregard all the other units, but having these 2, Kresnik and Reclaimed Serenity, that is, should be your number 1 go-to goal. Once you have them, you can make decisions for anything else. However, If you buy 2 Reclaimed Serenity and 2 Kresniks, for example, that is 8k out of your 10.5k. So you cannot buy another unit. And you're stuck with 2.5k remaining, which you have to use for these things. So please keep that in mind. So yeah, that is my opinion on the current shop. Like I mentioned, it is pretty much the best we've had yet. And I really like the choice we've gotten, or we've gotten this time around. And well, like I mentioned, I bought the pass just to get more rewards, and Gumi got me. So yeah, well played, Gumi. But if you don't want to spend this, the 7 euros or whatever it's costing, totally fine. You still get the best rewards via Kresnik and Reclaimed Serenity regardless. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope I was able to give you good advice on this and what to get. And if you have questions, let me know and I'll gladly answer them. See you then. Bye bye.